Space, the final frontier.
This is the podcast, State of the Federation.
Its continuing mission.
To preview strange new ships.
To seek out new builds and new combinations.
To boldly go where no show has gone before.
Good evening, citizens of the Federation. You are once again tuned in to that broadcast wavelength, State of the Federation. I am your host, head strategist William Sanchez, also known as Delta Angel Flyer. It's a pleasure to have you all with us here today. And also with us, of course, is my illustrious co-host, David. David, how are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing well, and I'm now going to be known as he who plays games on Skype and records them on Twitch.
I saw that. You did a broadcast game yesterday, Mirror versus Federation, 150 points?
Yes. It was long. It was slightly tedious. My dice failed repeatedly.
You have one hull point left. All I need is one hit.
5 blanks. Yeah. Oh well. It's a dice game. That's why we play it.
Is it?
It is fun.
Yeah, we can talk about that some other time, though. That's opening up a can of worms. Especially around me, the king of attack negation.
Yeah.
We don't really have kings in Star Trek, do we? The monarch, the despot, the high chancellor. I'm the high chancellor of attack negation. That's my new title I'm going with. But yes, today on State of the Federation, we are sadly lacking in new information on new waves, new scenarios, new everything. We did just have nationals for the U.S. not too long ago, but we also have nationals for Canada coming up this weekend. So we're going to make next week our nationals review show. Today, however, we are going to be looking at getting into those nationals. We're talking about competitive fleet building, and because we need some new blood in the sport, we're going to go for competitive fleet building on a budget. That's what we're talking about today. And after that, we're going to be moving on to our top 5 crewmen. Hopefully, Tucker will be back then to join us. We will miss his. I don't know. I don't want to say vitriol and sarcasm, but sometimes he goes there.
Snark?
Snark. I like it. Tucker, I'm sure we'll be back with his snark before we are through talking about budget building. But until then, it's just me and David. Think we can handle it?
Yeah. Well, it's not like I've written a whole geek list on budget building or anything.
It's not like you reviewed every single expansion over at BoardGameGeek.com.
Yeah.
Under the title of...
I should have been prepared.
I didn't think of defer that either. So,
Star Trek Attack Wing Ship Reviews?
Star Trek Attack Wing Ship Reviews. What's your username over there?
MathGuy6189.
Accept no substitutes. He's the one you want to go for. He knows this guy. This guy is a smart guy. You can't tell just by looking at his, Federation icon, but I know. I've seen him.
And it's not quite every ship. I am still needing to get a review of the Gornaris and Tholia one. Oh no, I've already done Tholia one. Anyways, yeah, the Gornaris and something else up. They're in the to-do pile.
Indeed. All right.
Yeah.
So, building on a budget. How do you become competitive in this game for as little as possible? Because, well, you don't want to spend, pretty much all of us want to spend hundreds of dollars on every single ship there is. But some of us don't have hundreds of dollars. So we're going to go with what you need to get started, right?
Can I pull my Tucker moment?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, guys, all you need are some Borg spheres and fighters. and maybe a diamond. That's all you need.
Queen Vessel Prime. In preparation for today, I did copy over the nationals from the week and a half ago. A ubiquitous occurrence in the top 3 lists was the Borg sphere. Highly popular. Fighters were in fact more popular than I thought they were going to be. Every list had all 3 of the top 3 had Hidekis. All 3 had a sphere, perhaps 2, and then the one dark horse list, which I personally loved and was very disappointed that it only came in 3rd, had Prototype 01. I wouldn't normally recommend Prototype 01, but it was on there.
But it's got 3 tech slots, and I think that's what they were going for.
Mm-hmm. All of the cloaked mines.
Yeah.
As a short strategy thing here, I think you could have gotten away with the... oh no, because he wouldn't have had enough left over on the sphere. How much is Ducat and Madrid? They're like 5. Are they like 5 and 3? 5 and 2?
Let me get you an answer to that here. Are you using Officer Exchange Program there?
Yes.
Ducat would be 4, and Madrid would be 4.
Yeah,
so
5-point Admiral, eh? I was hoping to see if I could sneak some cloaked mines onto that sphere, but it doesn't have the slot. It doesn't have the points.
Right, you'd have to go up to the name sphere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you? Or you could put Madrid on the other ship. What I would have done is, instead of the prototype, upgrade the sphere to a diamond, put a cloaked mine set on there, and then for the prototype, stick on a Praetus, which is super cheap, can hold 2 cloaked mines, and can still hold whatever admiral you want, like Madrid.
Mm.
Yeah,
well, don't go stealing too much thunder from next week, Will.
But yes, things we see in common here a lot. We have Picard 9, we have Ducat, we have the Hideki fighters. Picard 9, everyone should have because, well, you can't really play the game without a starter set.
It would be mighty impressive if you could.
Mm-hmm. But ever since Worf actually ruled that every player should have all of the things required to play the game. So that includes templates, a damage deck, all sorts of things. You could have gotten away with just maybe the templates because they sell those separately, but there's no way you can get a damage deck.
Yeah.
Unless, you hijack one from someone walking to their car in the parking lot. I mean,
or buy it off a friend who bought 2 core sets.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which, I mean, a lot of people have. So theoretically you could, but if they've done that, then they have 2 Picard 9s that they're probably willing to give you. So.
Oh. That's fair enough. If you could get just the things you need, that would be a pretty good deal. If you could get a damage deck and a Picard 9, heck, you could probably even get a good deal on the templates as well.
Probably.
But yeah, so number 1 expansion you're going to want to get. I don't think there's much debate over this. Is the Borg Sphere 4270.
Yeah, definitely. That's the pack you want. If you're going to be organized play competitive, unless your area has banned the Borg, that's the pack you want.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard to say. It depends on what you call competitive, because right now the Borg are legal in the national world's official WizKids events format. So you got to kind of go. We're just going with that to be consistent, but we will, of course. I'm sure we'll dabble a little bit into like the fleet purity kind of things, which a lot of venues are starting to adopt.
Yeah, we'll try our best.
Yes.
We can't cover every single
every single expansion in one show. Let's do it, David. You've got this already done, right?
Kind of.
Yeah. Sphere 4270 comes with just enough slots to get you what you need. 38 points and a great array of stats. The cheapest of the large Borg ships, so you can actually fit some decent-sized upgrades on there, even under the 50-point WizKids suggested format. So all around, a great pick.
Yeah.
Let's see. Shortly after that, I don't know. What would you go for after that, David? Diamond or Fighters?
My next pick. It's a tough toss-up between Fighters and Voyager.
Gotcha.
But,
Voyager's not a bad one. Fighters.
But
we did have Fighters in all of the top lists, so I think we should start with that one.
Sure. And I'd probably take the Fed Fighters at that point.
I would also suggest the Fed Fighters, despite that the winning lists had all used Hideki Fighters. Hidekis, however, do have one good bonus, which we'll go over when we go over them in a minute. But Fed Fighters, especially the named ones, they start with just as good stats as the Hidekis. Just as good attack as the Hidekis, and they come with a shield. So, Fighters are great because, of course, they wreck your attacking economy. There's not a lot of things that mess with attacking economy in this game. You'll hear us talk about action economy a lot, which is, how many actions you can get or what kind of things you can pull off with those. Attack economy is not something that really gets touched on a lot in this game. It's basically you get one attack. There's not very much that changes that. The one attack, which was the easiest way to mess with it was, of course, attack negation was kind of on the opposite end of that, which is why attack negation was really strong. But as for things that grant additional attacks, secondary torpedo launcher, the rebellion talent, and I'm not thinking of much else.
Yeah, they're Admiral Worf.
Admiral Worf, yeah, fire all weapons, but you can see they're very few and far between, and the ones that are, and they tend to be kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So fighters
they're not pricey expensive, they have some form of drawback.
Mm-hmm.
Like Admiral Worf giving auxiliary power tokens.
Oh yeah. And fighters just get around all of the high damage output stuff that was a staple of this game, and it still is, though not as much thanks to the existence of fighters. No matter how much you deal damage to them, even if you get like 5.5 crits, I don't know how you get half a crit, but you do. They only lose one token, so it takes.
Die? Cocked die?
But yes, lose one token, lose one token, lose one attack, you still have a viable ship. All the way down to about 2 or 3 attack. 2 attack is generally when they stop mattering.
Yeah, even then they're a tough ship to kill.
Oh yeah, especially they can still be a little dangerous because get them into range 1, especially of like a Borg something with no agility.
Yeah.
Just makes them.
And with the named Fed fighters and their ability to do damage as long as you have hull damage, they're still a viable ship.
Oh yeah, that could add up. So yes, fighters, great pick, lasts long and forever. Only drawback, of course, is there are certain things that don't work with them. Check with your local TO to get all the rulings on those. But yes. Next to them, we have the first wave attack fighters, the Hideki Squadron. These guys are more geared toward offense. They do not have the shield, which makes them highly more susceptible to cloaked mines, which is just the big counter to fighters in general, I think.
Yeah.
Because cloaked mines also go outside of the attack economy to just hit everything that enters their range of effect. But Hidekis have one trick the Feds cannot do, and it's something I did really like from Daniel's first place build, and that's the Galler class phaser banks. One of the problems with fighters is that they're of course limited to range 2, which is a special rule that was invented just for them. But this brings them back up to range 3, so it's a lot harder, especially for things like Borg, to dance around outside of their range and take pot shots, because the Hidekis will still be shooting, and they can shoot with a lot of dice.
And the Galler class phaser bank also gives them an extra die once they've taken some damage, which ensures that they're a lot more viable the whole way down.
Even when they're down to just one ship remaining, that's 4 attack.
So you really have to kill them. Yeah.
So yes, I did like that as a pick. I like the Galler class phaser banks as a pick over having 2 sets of fighters, and I like that a lot. So first wave attack fighters, definitely a good pick. So considering those 2 balancing points, I think no matter which fighters you go with, you'll get a good deal. Or just go with both. Let's see.
Yeah.
David, you like?
We'll have to talk about that.
Hmm?
We'll have to talk about that. I have some ideas with both.
All right. David, your next pick was the Voyager.
Yeah. More for an environment where people are scorning Borg, just because of the options that Voyager brings in. It's a great ship in terms of giving you a 360 firing arc to range 2. 4 dice, solid all the way down, 2 defense dice, 9 total hit points, 30 points. Not a great dial at all. We've been through that. But also some decent crew options, not great captains. But overall, it's a pack that any good Fed player wants to have. And transphasic torpedoes, though they're not super viable in the 50-point environment, they're a tool that Borg players should be afraid of still. Because anything that fires 10 dice is something to make you afraid of.
Oh yeah. It also introduced some of the crew that were really helpful. Were Tom Paris is a good pick for pretty much any ship.
Yes.
Flat up 4 points in a crew slot for 1 die. Defense die.
Yeah.
Bolano Torres is not that bad either. She gives some options to some other ships, especially with her added tech slot. But is there anything else really good on this ship? I'm trying to think. I didn't like the talent. The techs were
the Doctor.
Doctor is pretty good. He was in one of our top 5 lists, I believe. I think he was on Tucker's top 5 tech.
Yeah. And even like binaural circuitry isn't a bad tech.
If you have the points to spare, it's a pretty good one. It's nice. It's a nice pick.
Yeah, it can be pricey. You know, there's some things, especially like Fed Pure. If you've got a like 120, 150 Fed Pure, you start looking down the list on cards, and there's some things that show up. Janeway is still very playable on the TOS Enterprise, not like she was in the before some of the May rulings came out, but
in the Golden Age.
In the Golden Age, but still, I mean, as a tiny like 30-point ship, because, well, you have to have something as that third ship.
It's kind of silly that we're calling 30-point ships tiny now.
Yeah. Hey, anything that doesn't hit 40 plus is considered tiny.
Mm. Yep. So a solid choice now. Not something I put on my primary list, but would you call this more of a primary or a very high secondary choice?
It's probably a very high secondary choice, but it's still one of the better Federation ships to have.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Let's see. Primaries, of course, the Sphere, the Fighters. I only threw one more thing that I would say is a primary, really strong pick, and I actually put the Diamond on there, the Queen Vessel.
Oh yeah, me too. That would be my next primary.
Because that gets you a very nice to use board Queen Admiral to go with your board, all kinds of ships. It gets you the fun mines. It gets you the what's it called? It comes with fun stuff. What was I thinking of? It comes with all the basic board upgrades you get from the Sphere. It has it's a little more costly, but it comes with a really nice dial. The one upgrade that I was really thinking of was Transwarp Signal.
Yes, the 4-point board card that gets rid of a token and puts on
and gives an aux power token at any time, pretty much, which is kind of silly. It hasn't gotten now. Granted, a lot of these cards that I just named haven't seen too much high placement in official tournaments yet, but I still feel they are very good options and very strong options, especially in like the OP environments. But yeah, so that's my primary set: the Sphere, the 2 Fighters, and the Diamond. I'm not sure if I would say anything else is really like the 100% must buy. Do you have any more of those, David? I've got a lot of really high secondary ones, but
yeah,
like bare minimum, I think you could place really high in high-end tournaments with just these four expansions.
Yeah, I mean, everything else becomes things that you need to buy to have the right upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
So, and those become secondary things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think everything else for me would be a secondary thing.
But being secondary doesn't mean it's bad.
No, it means it is very playable, and you would not do poorly to own it.
Mm-hmm. We're just talking about the cost-to-use ratio might be, instead of being $15 for using 7 cards, we're talking about $15 for like 4 cards that you're going to be wanting in high-level play, as opposed to, some of the ships that you just buy because they look cool.
Yeah. And we're also talking about things that you may not get the ship out to play often, or things that you're not going to be using every piece of it, but that a couple of things are integral to builds.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. For me, perfect example of that is buying a Coronac to get Gul Dukat.
That's what I like a lot. We had Dukat in a lot of these secondary lists, and he is definitely on my on my short list of things that you're going to really want to buy.
Right. And also a fleet of Keldons is just kind of cool, but if you're on a budget, I don't think that buying multiples of the same extension, barring Org Speed or some of the fighters, is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Coronac for me actually ranked a little lower, but Dukat and Bohica are just really strong. If it were not for the invention of the Borg, they would be definitely top tier right now.
Yeah, they would. Well, and it's also that you want things like Picard and Ducat to be able to go on ships that don't natively have battle stations if you're in a mixing environment.
Indeed.
Especially because they help cloaking ships out a lot.
Yes, if you do ever end up going down the cloaking route later in your collection, they are definitely very, very handy to have. So let's see, we did Voyager, we did the Coronac. The next one on my list, actually, for high secondary purchases is the Regent's flagship. What do you think about that one,
I want to hear you. I want to hear you justify this.
The Regent's flagship has some of the things, even as just a ship, it is fairly, I would put it fairly high on the list of playable ships after, of course, our top 4. But it's got the proper, very high hull, has the possibility for cloak. But besides the ship itself, Mirror Universe has some really good things to go along with it, including Admiral Worf, which doubles the effectiveness of a set of fighters, pretty much. Maybe even more than that. And it comes with one of my favorite cards, Mr. Brunt. If we like talking about transwarp signal from the Queen, Brunt is like the little baby brother version of it for a single point. Give someone an auxiliary power token at the end during the end phase, and that can really that is a fun way to mess people up.
Oh, it is.
You used that in your gameplay yesterday, didn't you, David?
I didn't. I had Brunt as part of a build, and I went a different way. I ran out of points.
Oh no! That's terrible. How could you? It's always so much fun to say Brunt.
5 ships into 150 points. I don't think I was lacking.
Yeah, fair enough. Yes, that is why I think Regent's flagship should be up there.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot Admiral Worf was on the Regent's flagship for a minute. Mm-hmm. Yes, as soon as you said Admiral Worf, I'm like, duh. Plus the ship ability. This is one of the ships that can actually shoot 2 ships, and it doesn't lose much quality or much firepower to do it.
Mm-hmm. And it does it in a little 360 arc. It's a small area of effect, but it's a painful area of effect.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good that way. And it's an optional thing. It's not like you have to do it. And yeah, plus it's another one of those packs that just gave you options.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this was just, if you just buy this for the ship, Admiral Worf, and having Brunt as an option, it's worth it.
Yes. Admiral Worf is that darn good.
And the fact that other things exist too makes it all the better.
Oh yeah. I mean, you also get to see some of the cool things you do with like Mirror Odo or the Talents, Mirror Kira for a protection if you really needed it. Like there's a lot of minor upgrades that you probably wouldn't normally take, but can be substitutes for upgrades you didn't get because you didn't buy the entire collection.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you there.
Let's see. Also high on the secondary list. At this point, I'm going to have to shove in this guy because he definitely has to be in here somewhere high up on the list for the mere effect of 1 card. Yeah. And you knew which one it was.
Cloaked Minds.
We were not kidding when we said Cloaked Minds were the #1 tech pick of everything. The Praetus has absolutely nothing else you'd want to use on it. Well, okay, you could use the one named Praetus, is alright. But some of us who are crazy competitive, will buy 5 of them, even though the rest of the ship and the rest of the cards do nothing. I don't think it even came with that many cards. It came with like a captain, cloaked mines, and like one other tech.
Maybe.
Did it even come with a crew?
No.
I think it had to have a crew slot or something. I don't know.
I'm looking up on Space Dock exactly what it came with. So give me a minute.
Someone completely forgettable. Oh, it does come with Valdor.
Yeah.
He's an alright captain.
He's an alright captain. He gives you extra dice against stuff. So,
but still, the fact of having 1 cloaked mine over having 0 cloaked mines is huge. And I'm very disappointed whenever I see a fleet that is not running any cloaked mines at all. It's like the one no-brainer for me. Every fleet, if you can fit it, should have cloaked mines. And by if you should fit it, I mean you can fit it.
okay, yeah, it came with cloaked mines, nuclear missiles, and polarized hull plating.
I guess as far as upgrades go, I mean those ones are actually not that terrible.
No, the missiles aren't bad at all. And polarized hull plating essentially gives you the USS Defiance ability to turn crits into hits, except it's only 1. But it's a passive. It's not a disable. It's not a discard. So,
would upgrade on your scimitar if you go for one of those later.
Yeah, or even on like a Regent's flagship if you have spare tech.
Oh.
I mean, that thing has 7 hull. You're going to take some crits. I mean, I've seen games lost because of critical damage.
There's some really nasty ones, especially the ones that, you know, cost you an attack or give you an extra power token when you already have a power token.
Yeah. Yeah, you want an underrated tech, it's polarized hull plate. That doesn't make it good enough to make it a top tier tech, but it's underrated. It's 2 points and cloaked mines are 3, and cloaked mines are vastly superior.
Let's see. So at this point, I think this is the end of my really high must-have list. Like there was the bare minimum. There was the additional Voyager, Regents, Praetus for those couple of cards that you should see almost everywhere. After that, I find it going into really strong, but not necessarily must-have things. So I'm going to call this part 2.